Churchill, 722. Highland Meadows, that's 725. Again, that's about 10 minutes from right now. Yorkland, 729. And then we get up into Chester County at 736. So this right here, and I think we just got a new scan there, Yuke. I'm gonna look at this for a moment, because again, what I'm looking for, and I'm encouraged by this last scan, and what I mean by that is now I use the phrase kind of muddied. You know, it's not as crystal clear. You can see as we go back, now we still have some pinks. We don't have much in the way of greens anymore. The brighter they are on each side, the more confidence there is a tornado on the ground. The less they are, the more kind of muddied they get, and that's what we're saying. This has some rotation, but I'm encouraged by this. That could be something that we had a tornado drop down, and then now it's kind of starting to lift back up, or at least, if nothing else, some rotation. So I think that's
now when that
positive.
passes, does it go up into Pennsylvania? Yeah,
I'm going to do right, exactly. So let me do a wider track for you, and what I'm going to do is let me take the base of this thing. I'm going to take the angle and let me widen out the base so it's just a little wider, and I'm going to start from this area right in here, kind of the whole part where we're looking at this rotation. And let me take it out and take it up into Chester County. Let's go up a little farther north. So let's do this. So Kennett. Yeah, that's what I thought. Pennsburg, that's a 735. 742 would be at, that's where that would be moving its way on up. Copson, that's a 748. Sconnellstown, a 755. Westchester, closer to 8 o'clock. So yeah, that is the direction that it is moving, from the south to the north up into Chester County, and we take it off velocity, which is what we're looking at now, the speed and the movement. We go back to the radar itself. This has some incredible rainfall with it as well, and that's another part of this, that if there is a tornado on the ground, and it looks more improved right now. If there is a tornado on the ground, you're just not going to see it. I mean, it's going to be covered in rain, you know, and what alarms me about stuff like this is folks out driving. You know, it's not a great night to be out with the flash flood warning and the very heavy rain, but you're driving around, all of a sudden that like crosses a highway and you're not expecting it to be right there, and that could be a very dangerous.
You got a lot of folks driving tonight because you got 95 there towards your right shoulder. You got 202. Naaman's Road is up in that very highly traveled roads this time of night.
Yeah, and then you get up here, you get a little bit closer, you know, as it eventually gets up here to, what's that, say around 30, and then we're looking at 1. You know, you got the turnpike, you got all kinds of these roads that we're going to be watching. You know, and I know it's not the tornado warning part, but we were talking about this earlier on the newscast. If we go back, I just want to show you, this is just over the last 3 hours. Look at these colors. This is an absolutely incredible situation where in this area where there's a potential tornado, I mean, we have a radar estimate of 4 and 5 inches of rainfall in the last 3 hours. This is the past 3 hours, not the last 3 days, the last 3 hours. So it's just all in when you look at everything. You got the flash flood warning that is in effect. You have the tornado warning that is in effect. I mean, this whole area is under the flash flood warning. This one until 7:45. And the pink here, that's a different sign. That means that there's potentially catastrophic flooding going on, which I agree with that much rainfall. Now you're talking about the potential for bridges being washed out, massive damage, you know, trees down when you have that much rainfall. And then this goes up into Chester County, where that particular warning is up until 10 o'clock. See if the National Weather. So yeah, they left it until 10 o'clock. Same thing. These outlines and these different things indicate different threat levels, and the tornado warning that we have up, I'm going to put that back up on the screen. That is a tornado warning. It's not, you know, with some catastrophic damage behind that, but that has to do a lot with the flash flooding that is going on there. So, you know, it's a very active evening in our area, and unfortunately, this is kind of the beginning of what will likely be a very active day tomorrow. We're talking about remnant moisture, or not remnant, we're talking about the pre-moisture from what was Tropical Storm Debbie, now Tropical Depression, and there's just a lot of energy going on. It does not take much to get some spin and to see some of these storms produce tornadoes. So we go back down here, and again, not as crystal clear as it was. We get a little bit of some change right in here, maybe just south of Heather Valley, and it's a little bit leaning to this side. You get some stronger winds over near Spring Valley and Swallow Hill. But like I said earlier, Yuke, I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing in terms of it's not crystal clear. The clearer it is, the worse it probably is, because the clearer it is means that it's actually more likely to be happening. When you see a situation like this, the radar's looking up at this point from the radar down near Dover, probably looking up about 2,000 feet or so. So it's looking not right at the surface, but it's looking up a little higher.
You mentioned energy. Yeah. I saw on your other graphics near Hockessin. Did I see some lightning strikes?
On this particular one, I'm not seeing much, but yeah, there's been a little bit of some lightning. So yeah, right there, up near Swallow Hill. This right here, that's a lone lightning strike. It's not a highly charged system. It's not like we're getting hundreds of lightning strikes in one area. But yeah, and also this here, see how it's this bright shade of like almost like white, silvery type thing? That's an indicator from our radar that there could be some hail thrown in there as well. So we have kind of all the threats thrown in there right now. If you're just joining us, you know, we are breaking in, we have broken into programming because we have an active tornado warning here in our area. This is, let me just widen this out in case you're just tuning in. We're talking about far northern Delaware, just about ready to cross over into Chester County, and this is where we have the active tornado warning that I will track out again for you. I'm encouraged that it doesn't look as crystal clear as a tornado on the ground would look, which is a good thing in my opinion. But there's definitely some signs. I'm looking at different radars here just to see. See, there's one from, this is a little bit of a different product here, but it's in the same area. I mean, it's pretty much right over Maple. Was it Maple Crest there? Let me go back to this one here. It's this same thing. It's this area that we're watching. So there's consistency in where the problems potentially are. I'm
looking at your national radar over there, and are we on the remnants of Debbie? We're on the outskirts, or no?
Yeah, not the remnant. It's kind of the precursor.
The precursor,
yeah,
okay.
It's the leading edge stuff. Let me do another fresh track while we're sitting here talking about it. Let's take from right here and go up again. Give you another sample. I'll move this to the side so you can see it. Scoot this on over here. So Churchill now, I mean, I got 720. We have 24-hour time on our clock. 7:20 on our clock here. This town, Uke, how do you say this one? I'm not familiar with this.
Where you point to?
Trepanier? Do you know that one? Or is that a neighborhood? I don't see that. Kennett, you got Kennett at 7:35. Hamilton at 7:41. Now we're going up here into Chester County. Northbrook, 7:52.
Trafalgar, I believe that is. I'm trying to look through my Trafalgar.
Okay, Trafalgar. Got it. Got it. That essentially now. Safe area if you're in the tornado warning and you're in the path of any of these places we've been telling you about. As many walls between you and outside as possible. Lowest level of the house if you can. Stay away from the windows. You know, you just want that protection. So oftentimes, we have a tornado warning, let's go out and take a picture and look, and it's just, you know, never advise, especially in a situation where it's just absolutely dumping rainfall, torrential rainfall, which makes it even that much worse. If you know anybody in this area, because it is a fairly confined area in our viewing region, please make a call, let them know, and we will continue to stay on with this until this threat passes. I'm going to see if the National Weather Service has anything new, but I'll monitor that.
As it moves, what will it take for it to fizzle out,
So let me show you this. Yeah, the great question. So if I put this into motion, let me go back over the last 30 minutes, okay? And what you're looking at, let me take it a little bit farther to the north. This is, once again, it is a product called velocity. We're looking at the movement of the storm, both the speed and the direction. And this right here, if I go back 30 minutes ago and I stop this radar right here, this is what prompted the National Weather Service as it was making its way north heading toward 95. You see these really bright shades of pink right next to some shades of green. This is what prompted them right there. I mean, you see the green and you see the pink. These are winds that are going in a different direction right next to one another, and the way that happens is because the winds are spinning like that. This is what prompted the National Weather Service to issue that tornado warning. And now you ask how it dissipates. It was really strong right in here. This is at, 7:09, the timestamps are on the banner, 7:07, 7:09, we got on the air, showed you that. And then now it's starting to just weaken dramatically. And so as the storm is moving to the north and there's some rotation, it will kind of like bounce a little bit, if that makes sense. It's a little more complex than that, certainly. But it will start and stop. And with the spin that's in the atmosphere, with the energy that's going on in the atmosphere, and while we're doing that, let me just loop this radar. There's going to be these times that there's just enough that's happening that there is some spin and it touches the ground. And in situations where we have tornadoes associated with tropical systems, they're very different than big supercell events that we would experience you might picture in your mind in May in Oklahoma, that type of thing, where they're individual supercell storms that within themselves are creating this environment that you get a tornado and it's sweeping around the ground and can last for 50 miles, 100 miles. These are not like that. These are quick. They are usually relatively small in terms of the EF scale that goes from 0 to 5. It depends on the wind speed there. But what they'll do is they'll happen because you already have, I want to show you something real quick and then we'll come right back and we're going to stay on because we'll see if this expires soon. But if I widen this out for you, the storm with Debbie, you can see this massive counterclockwise spin. So here's the center of circulation down here. These outer reaches, okay, the outer bands are what are sweeping through our area right now. All of this is heading our direction tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow. This is what we're going to be focused on because as we get into the day tomorrow, we're going to be much closer to this energy. And right now, if we look at the overall severe warnings, look, the red boxes are tornado warnings. There's a tornado warning in there's Washington, D.C., so this is down probably near Fredericksburg in Virginia. Then there's another one just over the Virginia border. I believe that's 95. It's pretty close to 95 there. But these red boxes are tornado warnings. The yellow is a tornado watch box, meaning conditions are possible. So this entire area from the Outer Banks right through Raleigh, right up through Virginia, back to the Shenandoah Mountains, through Maryland, D.C., all the way up to our area, Harford County, Carroll County in Maryland, is the tornado watch. Now this warning in our area in Delaware is not technically in the watch, but it's close enough because you have this overall energy that's already got this spin to it, and it doesn't take much. Tornadoes are formed because you have what are called winds that are shearing. They're changing with height, and it creates this spin, and that is where we're tapping into some of this energy, and it's only going to get more intense as we get into the day tomorrow. That Storm Prediction Center has us in the overall tomorrow slight risk, and this is where the greatest risk for tornadoes are going to be. But back to what's going on right now, if we put our radar back on and we put the tornado warning watch, it was Fredericksburg, that's in Spotsylvania and Stafford County. Here it is, Newcastle County. The tornado warning continues until 7:30. I don't think they're going to extend it into Chester County for two reasons. One, it's looking like there's not a clear sign as to where it is, which means it's starting to improve. But B, usually within an expiration of 4 minutes, they would have already extended that. Doesn't mean that they won't. Doesn't mean that they won't.
So be prepared. Still be prepared.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, just because there's no tornado warning doesn't mean that there's, hey, it's just nice light rain outside. No, it's still nasty storm. Doesn't mean we couldn't get another one. But right now, that warning is set to expire at 7:30. And let me look at another radar product. We have a myriad of different radar products we can look at. There's one, I'm going to go back to original. Yeah, there's strong winds. All the red is away from the radar. Keep in mind, the radar is south. And so all this color means that the storms are moving this way. They're moving away from it. If it was the other direction, it would just be the same hue, just green. I mean, the same intensity, just green. So yeah, I'm not seeing that, but there's definitely some strong winds right in here, right at the Delaware, Pennsylvania border into Chester County and into Newcastle County. But yeah, that is set to expire here at in just a couple of minutes. So pretty active evening there. I think it's a good idea, tornado warning or not, to stay inside. It's not a great night to go out if you don't have to go out. Let me do just one more track while we're on here. And I'm going to take it just from where there's a little bit more energy and kind of draw it up to the north. That's the direction it's moving. Auburn Hills now, 7:28. Let's go to Hamilton. That time frame right around 7:42. We got another 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Northbrook, 7:52. Marshallton at 7:58.
Bill, can you go back to Debbie just for a sec?
Absolutely.
I want to ask you a question about the circulation. I've always heard that tell me if it applies to this or not, but I've always heard there's a particular quadrant that is the most dangerous that you must look out for. Or does that apply here? Are we in that?
It does. So what you're referring to is you see this counterclockwise spin. So the storm itself is spinning around counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. It's a low pressure cell. In addition to that, the storm has forward momentum. And at this point, it's moving very slowly, faster than it was, but slowly, at about 10 miles per hour as of the latest observation. So if you picture the winds are, let's just say 50 miles per hour, spinning around 50, and it's moving forward at 10 or 20. Well, this right front quadrant, if you look at it and you split it into 4 sections, Right front meaning the direction it's moving. If it were moving this way, the right front would be up over here. So right front is up in this area where we have the tornado watch and several warnings at this point. As it's moving forward, you have not only that forward progression, you have the spin with it. So you can kind of add them together. So if it's moving at 50 miles per hour, it has winds at 50 and it's moving at 20, then you can have a 70-mile-per-hour wind here versus a 30 back here because simply it's moving. No different than if I'm driving in a car down the road at 40 miles per hour and I lob something out, even though my lob might be just a little 5-mile-per-hour throw, you have the forward progression of the car at 40 miles per hour. So that thing I lob out of the car is going to be traveling at that speed. And it's the same concept here. So that adds a lot more energy into this part of the storm. And with this track, as this is going to go to the north tomorrow, the general track of this storm is going to be something like this. So we are going to be in that right. This is not going to cross right over I-95 or Philadelphia. It's going to be into central PA, probably State College, somewhere around there. So we are going to be on the right-hand side of that. So we're going to get the extra energy, if I'm keeping it very simple, for us to bring the potential for some strong to severe storms in our area for the day tomorrow. And I do think that potential, not only do we have the storm risk tomorrow, but tonight, when I look at the tornado risk tonight, that's what this is focused on. Only the tornado risk, not high winds, not hail, not overall potential. That risk is highest in the area that we have that tornado watch and a couple of warnings. I mean, we're not really even in a risk assessment tonight, but it doesn't mean, and I always say, it doesn't mean you couldn't see it, but we're not even in that risk area, and we had the lone tornado warning. But tomorrow, this is where this goes, and you can see that that 5% tornado risk is throughout a good portion of our area. And 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about tornadoes, it is a little bit high. It is 7:30 on the nose. The National Weather Service has expired that tornado warning, so we are going to jump off. If there is another warning issued, we will let you know. As always, we are here to keep you and your family safe. I'm meteorologist Bill Kelly here on CBS News Philadelphia. We'll see you in 30 minutes over on our sister channel for our 8 o'clock show.